I've been creating real estate videos for the past 5 years, and I would say my videos are pretty good. However, it was not always this way. So we're going to turn back the clock and look at some of my older videos and point out some of the mistakes that I made so that you can expedite your learning process and hopefully avoid these same mistakes. So without further ado, let's watch video number 1. So that video that we just watched and we're going to dive into is actually the very first real estate video I ever filmed, I ever created. This was filmed on October 27th, 2020, and I did not have a clue what I was doing. So this is going to be a bit of a fun one to pick apart because this is very beginner James. There's going to be some things in here that we're going to be able to pick apart. Now, before we dive into this, I want to give some context as to the gear that I was using for this video. Now, the camera I was using was a Canon Rebel T7i with a kit 18 to 55 millimeter lens, the kit lens, and I was using the original DJI Ronin S. So that was the kit. And then the drone was the DJI Air 2. So that was the kit I was using. And I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that are more specific to that setup as we go through. So let's start picking this video apart. All right, so one of the first things you'll probably be able to see is that these shots are not wide at all. They're not wide at all. And that goes back to the camera setup we were using. So the Canon Rebel, it was a DSLR camera, but it was also APS-C, crop sensor camera with an 18 millimeter lens. So an 18 millimeter lens on a crop sensor camera, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's about like 24 millimeters. So I was essentially shooting my wide shots on a 24 millimeter lens. That's why, I mean, you'll see, and as you saw in the video, like none of these shots are very wide. You can obviously see like no real thought for, I mean, composition on this one actually wasn't that bad, but color grading looks pretty bad, pretty atrocious, not wide at all. Obviously, like there's a lot of things that I could pick apart, but like I want to make this simple. I want to make this simple for you guys, give you some actionable steps. So if 16-year-old James was sitting right next to me, right? 'Cause that's how old I was. I was 16 when I shot this video. If 16-year-old James was sitting right next to me, here are some of the key takeaways that I would give him to improve upon for his next video. First thing would be like composition and a subject. If we look at a lot of these clips, I mean, we're shooting on, like, we can't go very wide. Our composition is pretty limited for wide shots, but at least have a central subject to focus on. There is no purpose to this shot. There is no subject. We're looking at a black wall. This one, not bad. We're looking at the fireplace. This one, what even is this? What's the subject here? Because middle frame, we're looking at the curtain, right? Highlights are blown out. The tub's down here. Something's over here. You got the shadow. Again, if we're focusing in on something right now, it's the lack of subject. Actionable step going forward, make sure every shot you get has a clear subject. There is something in the frame that we should be looking at, and usually it's going to be center framed. All right. Second key takeaway, mix in some detail shots. All right. Obviously, I was shooting everything at the widest I could shoot on. But this is a really nice house. There's a lot of cool like details. So I would mix in some of these wide shots with some detail shots. Use that lens, punch in a little bit, capture some details, right? This lighting fixture looks like it could be really cool. And obviously I remember it is a cool lighting fixture. So like focus on that, shoot a detail shot of that. Mix in, because obviously a home is not just the rooms, but it's also in the details, especially when it comes to shooting nice luxury homes like this. Third actionable takeaway, it comes down to the edit. There is no flow or sequencing in this video. So actionable steps, 16-year-old James sitting right here. What am I going to tell him? I'm going to tell him, pick a good song, right? This song, not bad. Obviously it's very old school real estate video, very boring elevator music type vibe. But pick a decent song and then make sure you edit to the music. Listen to the beats, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, cut, 2, 3, 4, cut, 2, 3, 4, cut, 2, cut, 4, cut. Listen to the music, start editing to it, and it'll help with the pacing of said video. Those are some of my key takeaways from this video. I mean, again, very beginner, a lot of up and down movements, a lot of shake, a lot of clips that are too fast or too slow. There's just a lot to unpack. So that was really cool to kind of break apart my first ever real estate video. So now we're going to dive into the second video we're going to break down. Let's give that a watch. Okay, so as you can tell, this is quite a big step up from the first video that we just watched. Now, this video I shot on July 28th of 2022. So this is about 2 years later after that first video. So obviously there's been a big step up. We've been at this for about 2 years. And a lot of people would consider this a pretty good, like, I don't know, maybe beginner to intermediate level real estate video, but there's still quite a few things in here that I want to pick apart again, so that hopefully once you reach this intermediate level, you don't make these same mistakes. Now, before we dive in, let's talk about the gear, because there was a substantial gear upgrade in this video, or compared to the last video. So for the camera, we're shooting on a Canon EOS R. I believe that's the original Canon mirrorless camera. And paired with that, we've now got the Canon 15-35 f2.8 lens, which is a great lens. And that's what this video is shot on. So that was the biggest upgrade. We're still using the DJI Ronin S. We're still using the DJI Air 2 for the drone, but the camera and the lens got a big upgrade. And so that I believe was a big contributor to upgrading the look or quality of my videos. But now with that out of the way, let's start getting into some of the mistakes I made in this video. All right, so the first thing I kind of want to touch on here is the fact that, and you'll see this is a theme as we go throughout this video, is that one of the biggest mistakes I made, and this was kind of popular in real estate videos at the time, but it was showing too much. We're showing everything, right? This beginning sequence, I believe we've got like 5 or 6 shots of the front facade, pretty much in its entirety. Then we hop into the back. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots of the rear facade. So we've got, 11 shots here. And if we go 22 seconds and we're just now entering the property, which is too long. Usually, if we're building out an intro sequence, we want to take up about 10 to 15 seconds before we're going into the property. This took 22 seconds, which is pretty long. And again, we'll talk about this throughout, but this video just included too much. So one of the noticeable things you'll see that I improved upon from the last time is compositions and shot selection. So, I mean, these first 3 interior shots are pretty good. Again, they're not excellent, but in terms of composition, we got nice sun flare through the window. This is a pretty good composition. And we started mixing in some tighter shots. So this isn't quite a detailed shot. This was shot on 35 millimeters, but we are starting to mix those, the wides and some tighter shots to make a more engaging video. So that's good. That's a good improvement that we had. Now here's our first culprit, our first big mistake. Actually, there's 2 in this one clip, but the first one, and this is probably the most important one, is we're looking at our verticals. In real estate, having straight verticals is very important. If you do real estate photos, you will probably already know this, but we want to have those verticals nice and straight, right? If they're not straight, it looks weird. The house looks lopsided, right? If we look here at this wall, the walls are slanted in like this, and so you can kind of see here as well, just the lines aren't super straight, and there's a few more dramatic examples that I'll show in a little bit. Second mistake is going to be white balance. This looks too yellow. It looks too yellow. This countertop should be closer to white. It shouldn't be white, but like the countertop, the ceiling should be much closer to white. That's how I remember it when I was filming. And so that's just a white balance error. To solve that, I would suggest putting your camera on auto white balance. So that's action item number 1. Now 18-year-old James, how can I improve upon this video? Action item number 1 is going to be auto white balance. Don't manual white balance. Don't guess it. Throw it on auto. So here you go. These are 2 shots where the verticals are very clearly off. We are clearly pointed downwards. So action item, well, actually, I think we already talked about this, but you can see like these lines are not straight. We'll always want to make sure our camera is nice and level and we're shooting straight and we still have those nice straight lines. Now, let's save some time here. We're about halfway through, and this was not a massive house, but we've only showed the main floor. We're about a minute through. So that would be my next suggestion, is just that we're showing too much. We're showing every room. There's no need to show that bathroom. We're showing too much, too many angles, too many bathrooms, rooms that are not very important. And then we finish off, again, there you go, blown out windows, bad verticals. So this was the theme. And then we finish off with the exterior, which is not bad. Just a lot of redundancy, a lot of shots that just don't need to be there. So, oh wow, that's like super soft, super low light. But yeah, so at this point, that's gonna take us from being beginner to intermediate, or even like intermediate to like high level intermediate, maybe even pro level. Some of those little things: exposure, verticals, and sequencing. Those are going to be the big three for this video. So I think that's enough for this video. I was pretty proud of this video. Looking back now, it's obviously pretty trash, but I was pretty proud of this video, which is now going to take us into video number 3. Let's run it. Okay, so video number 3 is going to be the most recent out of these videos. And you can tell even from this video to video number 2 that we looked at, again, probably big difference in that quality. Now, this video was shot in January of 2024, which is about a year and a half ago from today, a little bit more than a year and a half ago. But this is now at a point where I thought my videos were really pretty good. Again, looking back now, a year and a half later, I've improved a lot. But this was a point where I felt there was another big step in my quality. And so each one of these videos has kind of been from one step to the next to the next. So this would be a video I would consider high-level intermediate. Now for gear, we've had another big gear upgrade. We're now shooting on the Canon R6 Mark II, which is the camera I still use today. And we upgraded our gimbal to the DJI RS3 Pro. Still shooting on the same drone, still shooting on the same lens, that 15-35. But you'll notice a big upgrade in the sharpness, shooting now 4K on the Canon R6 Mark II. Something that I'm going to point out for this video is that at this level, you should be shooting real detail shots. Now, I was a big overshooter. It took me, I think, 3 hours to shoot this video, and I didn't even get to shoot any details. So at this level, I would highly be suggesting shooting detail shots. Something with a lens at over 50 millimeters. The details, quote unquote details in this video, were shot max 35 millimeters, because again, we're using that 15-35. But again, did a pretty good job of creating intrigue with a good shot here. And moving on, let's hit up the interior. So a big improvement here is going to be the pacing. The pacing, I believe, in this video is much better. Now this is still a 2-minute video, and this is a big house, and another theme similar to the last video that we touched on is going to be showing too much. So I'm not going to go through the whole video because obviously there's just too much. Again, I was caught up in that whole, like, we got to show the whole house. So there's too much in this video. So this video, at this period of time, I was very involved in the TPV community. This was a very TPV or Futuro Avenue inspired video. And one of my things for this video, which I believe is very relevant in today, is there's too many unnecessary transitions. There's a lot of speed ramps that probably just shouldn't have been there. This was one of them, including that big bounce as we whip out of the house, that whip to drone. There's just too many transitions, unnecessary. Some are good, and I would be like, yeah, that was good, that was tasteful, leave that in. But there's a lot of speed ramps in this video that are just like, man, that was super unnecessary, no sense in keeping those around. So that was one of those transitions. Here's another example of like some unnecessary transitions. Just an unnecessary speed ramp. And then last thing I want to mention about this video was just kind of a lack of contrast. There was just not enough contrast in this video, in the edit. So it looks kind of flat. Again, now we're getting particular. If you think, okay, that's nitpicky. Yes, because now we're at a pretty high level. And at this point, there was very few people creating this style of video. So here's where we're going to get particular. Is like, there's just not enough contrast. The shadows need to be darker. The highlights need to be brighter in some cases. So those are my 3 like action items for this video. 1, don't include unnecessary transitions. Number 2, show less of the house. This is a big house. We don't need to show everything. We only want to show what's necessary. We only want to show the highlights. And number 3 is just dial in that exposure, right? We got a lot of blown out highlights, a lot of blown out windows, and just not enough contrast. Right, so if we dial those in, we've got some pretty good compositions. I believe with those 3 action items for this video, plus adding in detail shots. So I guess 4 action items, adding in those detail shots, that's what's going to take you from that high level intermediate to, I would say, pro level. And so yeah, that was a fun little trip down memory lane, looking at some of those old videos. And again, the reason I wanted to do kind of very beginner, intermediate, high level intermediate is because I know you guys are all in different stages of your journeys as real estate videographers, as was I at some point. And so that's why I wanted to go through these different stages. It was really fun to go through these. And man, let me know in the comments below, what is the number 1 mistake after watching these videos? What's the number 1 mistake you've been making? So there you go. Those are a few of my older videos across some, different time periods in my career. If you got value out of this video, make sure you leave a comment, and I think you'll really enjoy this video right here. And with that all said, I'll see you in the next one.